Hey guys, you can probably tell from the channel I've given up on making really artsy videos. Still love the Alaskan. Just got back from a trip up to McCall, Idaho, and I wanted to show you what I'd come up with for getting around when we just set up the Alaskan and don't want to take it up and down every day. So I wanted to do this, watched this on a couple of Trippers videos and saw he tried different cycles. I tried to put my full-size Honda 750 on this when I came down to the Truck Camper Rally in Quartzsite this last February, but that was too sketchy. This ramp was way too high, and it made me decide that I wanted to get a small bike for taking with me on the truck. I was able to get it up on this, but the ramp is still too high, but I've got a drop receiver that's supposed to arrive tomorrow. But we were able to take it on this trip, and I was able to ride Forest Service roads and with this little bike I just bought. So this is a KLX230 SM, which is the street moto rather than the dual sport. I bought it, had my reasons, but I really like it. Did fine on Forest Service and BLM roads, and I'm looking forward to taking this with me on my trips and getting this ramp lowered about 11 inches when I get that receiver tomorrow. All right, you guys, I want to take another minute to explain why I picked this bike. So this is a Kawasaki KLX230 SM. So this is like the smallest dual sport super moto that I could get into. So why did I pick it? Well, I've gone through a number of things. I had a TW200 before, and that was too small for me. This one's got a good stiff suspension that's adjustable, and it's got a good ride height, but it's up there. So for me, this works a lot better, more like a real dirt bike, even though I'm not really a dirt bike rider, but definitely different than the TW200, so better for me. When I got rid of my TW200, I bought a Honda NC750X, which I still have and I'm selling, and that's a great bike, and I ride it or rode it on dirt roads, Forest Service and BLM roads. But again, when I tried to put it on that front rack, which is rated for its weight to go down to Arizona this winter, it was just too much, too heavy, too tall, just everything was too much on that. And so I decided that I wanted to get something smaller, and I was open to all options. And actually, a really nice gentleman at the Pickup Truck Camper Rally there in Quartzsite let me ride his little Honda Trail 125. He'd got a brand new one just recently, and he let me ride that one, and I rode it, took it out on the dirt roads there in Quartzsite, then out onto the pavement. And I'm, 250 pounds. I could get that up to about 50 miles an hour, and that was about it. So I thought, well, you know, I think I'd like something bigger than that, but smaller than my Honda. And while my daughter and I had been at Yellowstone last October, there was a guy camped across from us that had a C-Class motorhome, and on the rear he had a motorcycle rack, and he had a little, I think it was a Yamaha 250R. Does that sound right? It was a 250. It was small, and he just putted around on it to get around and just left his C-Class parked there. And I thought, that's kind of what I'm after. And so I started looking just recently, and I came across these, and this is a super moto, which means it's got the street tires, which you can see right there. It doesn't have the motocross tires. Now, this does not bother me at all because I rode my Honda NC750X with tires like this on dirt roads. I rode it in sand, and I know that when these tires wear out, I can upgrade to something a little bit more aggressive that'll fit on this bike with this wheel size. But it's got a smaller front wheel than a motocross bike, and it's made to give you the lightweight and agility of a motocross bike, but to use it on the street. And people are into that. The reason I liked it is because it's good on the street, and I can take it off-road as well. And so yesterday I took it in some trail areas. I took it, of course, on the Forest Service roads over some big rocks and stuff like that. It was great. It was really great. And so for me, this fit very well, because really what I want to be on is dirt roads and then on pavement, going from where I've got the Alaskan Camper parked into town to get ice or to get more beer or whatever it may be. And so for me, this works really good. Now, one thing I discovered as I was shopping is that the supermotos are less popular than the dual sport bikes with the larger front wheel that are made more for off-roading. And so I got a great deal on this motorcycle. I looked at a number of used bikes. All of them had problems. All of them had miles. Many were carbureted. Carburetors are great, but I just didn't want to fuss with it when I was on a long trip or something like that. And so it just made sense. I bought this brand new for $4,200. I had just recently looked at a Kawasaki 250 Super Moto, but it was a 2012. It was carbureted. It had a couple issues. It had some rust on it. They told me their bottom line that they would take was $3,600 for that. So for $600 more, I got one brand new with the warranty, and I know the complete history of it, and I really, really preferred that. And so I bought this brand new, actually for my 50th birthday, just recently. And you can see I scuffed it up a little already, mostly from just bringing it home and having a bike kind of tied up next to it, because we took 3 bikes with us. But anyway, I'm super pumped. It did everything I wanted it to do. I gave it a great test yesterday on some rough Forest Service roads, and it performed just like I wanted it to do. Nobody's modified anything on this, and so it's got the stock suspension. It's got the stock muffler, which I like because it's quiet. I don't want a loud muffler. If I'm in a campground or around people who are camped, I want to disturb them as little as possible by getting on my motorcycle and taking off. And so I really like it. I'm excited about it, and I'll continue to give you reviews. But so far, so good. Really, really like it. All right, so my drop receiver arrived. This is Patriot Hitches. I bought it from eTrailer.com. And I'll put it together and put it on here in a second. But you can see I can drop the receiver down so I can lower that ramp. And I think it should make life a lot easier on me. All right, there it is installed on the truck. Very, very simple. It uses 2 linch pins for the drop section to make it extra stable. And then it's got this stabilizing nut that's turned by an Allen wrench and then locked down with that nut that's on there. And I've got it dropped to the full 11 inches right now, and I'll get the ramp put back on, and I'll load the motorcycle, see what it looks like. All right, I am ready to load the motorcycle on just to give it a try. That is a lot lower. 11 inches is a big difference, so I'm pretty excited. Hopefully it goes as easy as I expect. All right, you guys, that was a lot easier having it down this low. It's still up there when you got your hands on the handlebars. You're using the clutch, but when you're going up, since at least with me, since I'm running it by myself, I'm using the engine to assist me. That means I got to run the brake on the other side, because letting out the clutch, I can't use the clutch as a brake with the motorcycle running. But it was a lot easier going up. Now I'm going to take it down. That's always the more challenging part, and we'll see how that goes with this being lower. This is my first time using a ramp like this for a motorcycle. I'm relatively new to motorcycling, and one thing I noticed the other day when I got the motorcycle up was that once I got it up, there was no way to keep it standing while I went and got my straps to tighten it down. So I'm not gonna strap it down for the purpose of this video because you guys can all figure that out on your own. But I wanted to show you, I did make this piece of rope here and I adjusted the length to get it right once it was up there. But I'll keep this piece of rope with me, and that way when I go up on the ramp, I can loop that from that latch right there. I can loop that up around this handlebar, lean it towards the truck, and then that rope will hold it in place, and that gives me the freedom to get straps, work, do what I need to do, and use both of my hands without having to balance the bike up there, because the bike's not going to balance up there on its own. And so I found this to be a helpful solution. All right, you guys, taking it off was super easy, and up until this moment, that has been the most challenging part of getting on and off of this ramp because of this little pivoting tire catch right here. But having it lower gave me a lot more control and made a huge difference. And then just having it in gear, I could just use the clutch as my brake and release it when I wanted to roll, and then engage it when I wanted to stop, and I could adjust my position and rolled it right off the ramp. It really, really worked well. So I highly recommend this drop hitch, especially if you go with the high front hitch like I put on my pickup. You can obviously go with one that's lower, that'll sit down where that wind guard kind of is, but I liked it being up higher. I thought it was stouter, and when I don't have it on there, then I've got more ground clearance, and so I like that as well. But anyway, that's my recommendation. Worked great for any of you who are thinking of doing this. I went with the smallest, cheapest, simplest, and most reliable motorcycle I could buy, and a front hitch put on my pickup and a ramp, and now I can set up the Alaskan, and I can leave it set up, and then I can get around to explore, go into town, do whatever I need to do, and just have a great time.